beat.
All right. Hello, Arnold. Can you hear me? Sound check.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to our Get Starting with Private AI webinar. Really happy that you joined. I'm Bam Gobetz. I'm the CRO at Nebel. Arnold?
Yeah, my name is Arnold Juffer. I'm the CEO at Nebel, and we're very excited to having this first Nebel webinar with more than 600 people registered. Obviously, not everybody will be joining today, but luckily this webinar will be recorded and we'll send out a link to everybody so they can watch it again at their own pace and at a time that's more convenient. Having that said, today's webinar is all about private AI, how to get started with it. It's our favorite topic here at Nebel, and it's a big part of our mission. It's our belief that private AI based on open source will rule in the end, and we have built our strategy around this. So let's deep dive into private AI, and I'll give the microphone back to Bam to give a short introduction on Gen AI.
Yep, absolutely. So welcome to the live stream. As Arnold mentioned, we did get quite a few signups, and we're not going to mention the names specifically just to maintain people's privacy, but we're going to send out a gift pack and a t-shirt to the 500th and the 600th signup. There is the capability to ask some questions in the chat, so please go ahead and feel free to ask questions, and we will address those at the end. We probably won't do it as we go, just to keep the momentum going. But if you want to stick around for the questions, we'll be happy to follow those later. So I would say let's dive in. First of all, at a very high level, what is private AI? Private AI is essentially a methodology which prioritizes corporate data safety, governance, and protection. And this really says that we should really maintain the same type of data security and data foresight that we do with normal corporate data, right? It's pretty basic. It's a little bit like the difference between public cloud and private cloud in a sense. So today we're going to cover a few topics. What is generative AI? Just a little intro for some people. It's still a little bit not super clear for everybody. It's very new. Why would we deploy generative AI in a corporation or in a company, right? We know how to use it for fun, but why would we deploy it in a company? Why does corporate use of generative AI require private AI, in our opinion? And we'll of course talk about what that means. We're going to talk about NVIDIA's AI leadership. NVIDIA being the dominant force in the hardware and the software evolution of AI. And then we'll end with Nebel's private eye, our vision on private eye, how we implement, and we'll address any questions at the end. So again, please do feel free to submit questions via the chat, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn. So at a very high level, diving right in, what is the first thing that you might notice about Gen AI, as we call it? It's kind of the next step in computer to human and computer to computer interactions. So traditionally, when you type a search into Google, for example, Google will return a bunch of links that maybe has the information that you're looking for. The difference in terms of interface with an LLM, or what you might think of as ChatGPT in a practical sense, most people have played around with ChatGPT. The difference is that when you ask ChatGPT a question, that ChatGPT will actually give you the exact answer in the format that you request. You can request a length, you can request a certain output, but it'll really give you the exact answer, right? Now, the nuance being that answer may not be factually absolutely correct, maybe, usually 99%, but there is the chance that data is not 100% correct. And that's based on the training that it had. And we'll address today how to fix that problem called hallucination of LLMs. We'll talk about how to correct that, right? That's something that's pretty well understood at this point. So first of all, what is, at a high level, I'm going to cover 3 different angles of introducing what is generative AI. So there'll be a little bit of overlap, but we'll cover it from a few angles to help make sure that we all understand what we're talking about here. So in essence, Gen AI, is kind of the evolution of hardware, software, computer systems to display human capabilities. So the main thing is that it can converse with humans or machines, maybe humans, in natural language, right? That's the big innovation in terms of the interface. And Gen AI is evolving like a person, in a sense, mimicking humans in the sense that now it's able to view images that you upload and describe what it sees in those images in natural language. Think of maybe security applications where that's very interesting. It's able to listen to its surroundings and then also interpret those surroundings, those sounds or those noises, and then describe those things back to a human or another machine. And of course, it's also enabled with very basic voice and conversational abilities, so that ability to do natural language can be leveraged in all of these different ways, as hearing, sight, vision, and all of these interesting things that again mimic kind of what humans do. The future of Gen AI in this context and where it's going is that it will be able to perform more and more advanced tasks. It will probably eventually be connected to your applications, your email, your various data sources, and help you get control of your data. And Gen AI will also be able to communicate with each other and solve complex problems. Most people probably will have a kind of digital twin at some point, which knows all about you and is able to execute a lot of more mundane tasks in your life for you. So generative AI is based on data. It's trained, which we'll come back to, on a large corpus of generic internet data. This means that the responses you get from Gen AI may not be correct. It kind of dreams, as it's said, or hallucinates answers where most of the answers are good. Some of the facts might not be, and we can correct that by actually attaching our specific data, which then it references. This is an acronym called RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. And this is what we use in private AI to connect your corporate data and ensure that the responses that you get are accurate. And so that hallucination problem is really an after effect of the training and the fact that a ChatGPT or an LLM doesn't really know what's real versus not real. We have to help it. Gen AI is not program sequences, but uses something called next word prediction. So really all it's doing is predicting the next most likely word. Okay, and by amplifying that, by millions or billions, you get what seems like coherent conversation and understanding, right? But that's kind of an illusion. What does AI produce? It produces text. Data, can process data, can process, create code, computer code, can create images, can create music, can create really a lot of things. And the future, and we're getting there now, is that from a single interface, a ChatGPT or a Gemini, as was released recently, will be able to start using tools like calculators, like instruments, like computer code like Python, to be able to solve things that it's not good at, that are not language based. So we have to introduce the idea of the LLM, which is the basis of Gen AI in terms of language. And again, here we're replicating kind of a human brain in a sense. An LLM is based on a neural network, which is a bunch of neurons, effectively different neurons that relate to each other based on context. So much like neurons in the human brain, they create connections, connecting things. These are billions or millions, billions or trillions of digital neurons. As mentioned, LLM kind of is looking for the next probable word. This is how it works, and this is called next word prediction. An example is if you give an LLM the apple is, likely the answer is going to be red, green, delicious, big or small, but not some other word. And so it uses a system of weights and biases, but putting the jargon aside, it builds stronger connections with words that are more likely to be next. So, LLMs, you've probably heard of GPT 3.5, GPT-4, but you also have Mistral, you have Llama, you have Falcon. These are just a few names, right? Now, just to wrap this up, I'd like to mention that there's also other types of Gen AI besides LLMs. There's another popular one called a GAN, a generative adversarial network, which is how images are created. And the way this works, very briefly, is you have a generator that tries to copy random noise or colors, and there's a discriminator that judges that and helps figure out which one is closest, and then it can continue to create images from ideas. Okay. So I wanted to then move on to giving a practical example. You have foundation models, we have fine-tuning, retrieval, inference, and a lot like a child growing up, right? So a child learns from his surroundings, learns a language. That's kind of the training part. When he goes to school, he has to learn how to behave. And so that's the fine-tuning. Fine-tuning is really training, corporate perspective would be training your AI how to interact as a professional, how to make sure that you're responding in the right way, in the right format. So this is an important part to the fine-tuning, and to connect all corporate data, to also do retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, and RAG allows us to connect corporate data in an effective way without all the hallucinations. We'll come back to that later. Finally, inference is like as if a professional person who goes to the world and is ready to communicate and run tasks and all these things. Inference is like running the production version of your Gen AI, and inference is like a professional who can now do functional work. So why do we want to deploy Gen AI? Companies are sitting on vast amounts of data, especially lots of old data, which is not really being used effectively. Think of old home directories, for example. So by deploying Gen AI on old data, new data, bringing that AI to your data, let's say, and ingesting it, we can gain lots of new insights and actually talk to that data. So the future of Gen AI is pretty bright in the sense that, departments have all these different forms of data. By ingesting text-based data and other types of data into various forms of Gen AI, we'll be able to gain insights across that data. And the next step is that the various AI agents will be able to communicate with each other. So just to wrap up that idea, it's like, we may have an AI that optimizes how we purchase our materials, how we manufacture the products, how we distribute those products through logistics, and then match that to the demand of the market so that we, optimize all the components therein. So it's almost like you're creating new value from old data and optimizing process and efficiency on newly generated data.
Yeah, so thanks, Ben. I guess this statement sums it down. Generative AI is going to transform the role that technology plays in our lives and the way we do business. AI will be the next frontier of productivity, and it will be about those who are able to use it and benefit from it, and those who don't. I don't think there's a real reason to panic or think that you're too late. We're still at day one of this revolution, and it's more about the decision to pursue than what all the right steps are to take, because those will turn out to be very flexible, we think. It's about setting the objective and making sure that you have a very clear goal where you're working towards, and not as much as the path that you take to get there. So nothing speaks more to the imagination than a real customer case. One of our customers is a large pharmacy that used to sift through thousands and thousands of research publications and pharmacy reports to create internal reports which they distributed to their staff for education and customer information. This was not an easy job, and honestly, a lot of information got lost in transit. Today, they use an LLM to go through all that data day in, day out, and create not only comprehensive reports and summaries, but also discover new insights and make correlations that is almost impossible to do for a human. So staff can now ask questions to the LLM and receive real answers without the need of reading through all those links. Think of the Google example Bam gave at the beginning. This is how it works in the real world. Right? So this is I guess, a great example of how Gen AI can have a real impact on your business. So how do you get started? And what are the challenges that you will face underway? What we see in talking to customers and people who want to start with AI is that the biggest challenge is the complexity and sheer speed at which developments are unfolding. It's just too much for many business leaders. And if you have difficulties to see what the technology is all about and what it can do for you, it's also very difficult to create a vision for the future of your business that involves AI. Another challenge that you might need is the specific skill sets that you need to have within your team. Data science, machine learning, that are two fields of expertise that you need to run successful projects and build new streams of revenue. If you're a very large enterprise, you probably already have those capabilities within your teams. But for everybody else, it's time to add those skills to your teams, or partner with the right subject matter experts that can provide that skills to you. And there's also the thing of culture, right? You need to embrace the action, not the outcome. You don't need. Basically, you need to embrace failure because failure is the first step in learning, and the goal is to learn from both failure and success. And as last, there's something about acceptance of the absence of foresight. So setting long-term goals and objectives and stick to it, but plan step by step with more flexibility. Take into account that not every shareholder has what it takes to do this. And lastly, there are a lot of changes and challenges on the technical side. So AI workloads run on high-performance computing or supercomputers, which use new operating systems and different tool sets to run. It uses different hardware, it uses a different kind of networks, and it requires extreme performance storage to feed those data-hungry processors. And your IT department needs to manage this new platform or this new technology stack next to the systems that are already there without any compromise. So it really requires new skill sets and technologies and IT practices. So what's the effect of all this, of all these challenges and changes? We see two things happening. People freeze, they postpone action and wait for somebody else to make a move. It can be that they trust their software vendors to deliver AI capabilities in the near future, or don't believe that AI will have a significant impact on their business. But keep in mind, that's what they said about steam, electricity, and more recently about the internet and the smartphone. I think we shouldn't make any mistake. AI is here and will have a profound change in the way we do business. And as those companies wait, they're not learning and in a sense falling behind and becoming less relevant. So it's not about that the employees or the company doesn't use public AI services, because they do, with all sorts of risk attached to it in the form of shadow AI. So the other thing that happens is that people and companies leap into it. They go in big and go out hunting for elephants, and they learn how to make progress, but often at great risk and expense. So we think there's a smarter way to do it. And that start with a small investment in an experiment or in a small lighthouse project, and learn from the outcomes and use those lessons learned and gained experience as a foundation to make the next step. You can repeat that cycle until you're able to do larger projects that where larger benefits are being made. So you can basically scale that out. Don't try to forecast or budget 3 steps ahead, but keep it focused on the objectives that's right in front of you. And this approach really reduces risk of starting an endeavor like this, of building AI in your company. So where it basically comes down to, it's making predictable steps and not being able to predict the future. You can embark on your mission with these 4 steps. Setting your objectives, that's 1. Making sure they're smart and realistic and achievable for your teams. 2 is build an experiment and build a POC. 3, with the learnings from the experiment and the POC, you can plan your next step with much more confidence and build with less risk. And 4, run your AI systems and prepare to improve a lot in the beginning, because you need to be flexible and keep in mind that you will learn and get better at it every time you improve. So that being said, Bam, maybe you can tell us something about the need for private AI in combination with corporate use.
Yeah, absolutely. And Arno, I think we have a little bit of feedback going on your side. So I'm going to, why don't you mute yourself while you're not speaking? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right. So we're going to talk about why we think corporate use of Gen AI requires private AI. Again, similar to the concept of private cloud. If we look at, we see lots of big tech. These are all kinds of applications and, various providers. There's a lot of advantage to them to actually training on your data, right? So we have to be really careful about that. And we also see that innovation is going so quickly that it's really security is not being prioritized. We know that right now, for example, even within OpenAI and standard LLMs, there's hundreds of exploits. So when your data is being trained on and you are using it, you can actually have lots of data being leaked out, PII data and all kinds. So public AI, or in other words, ChatGPT, for example, something that normal people can just use, is perfect for experimentation. It's great for learning the capabilities. Really good, for example, for a marketing department to create pictures and articles. Marketing data is typically not very sensitive. It's intended for the public. But when we get into manufacturing data, sensitive, architecture, sensitive company data, personal data within the company, it's really important that we bring the AI to our data within the bounds of our security and our normal process, as opposed to export our data to what we call public AI. So we've developed a couple of key principles for private AI. These principles, if you stick to, will give you the best chance to, take advantage of the innovation, but also to maintain your corporate security, right? Which is really important, and data privacy. So keeping data within your control means that, data should either be within your data center or within your private cloud. And what that means is that, again, we don't want to upload our data to untrusted players, right? We want to make sure that we bring the AI capabilities to the data, and we'll cover in a little while, one strategy that we've adopted to do that with a software stack. It's important to maintain sovereignty and compliance like you do generally. So if you're in the EU, it's important that for many companies that the data stays within the EU, it's housed by a EU company, and that we stick to the corporate governance and the compliance that you're used to. So this would theoretically avoid that we upload our data to private companies outside of the EU and even within the EU in that sense, right? It's important that you maintain exclusive control over your data set, and that the company you're uploading data to isn't processing that data as part of an application or like an LLM or something like that, or training on that data. And we want to ensure also that, and of course, that other companies can't pull your data out of an LLM that's being shared, right? Which is still very possible today. Strategic independence is really important, and we'll come back to in a little bit of detail to that. But basically, if you take as an example, OpenAI, fired their CEO, the staff revolted, demanded he come back, and then the board was fired. There was a lot of turmoil, as an example, in these quickly growing companies, which were very successful. And if you had to, uploaded all your data and you were highly dependent on their capabilities at that time, there could have been a risk, as well as there's really significant performance problems with large shared environments that we're seeing, right? So a lot of people have experienced outages and really slow performance, and these are all things that you can maintain when you maintain your own environment on your own dedicated infrastructure. So maintaining SLAs is an important part of that, but really maintaining your consistency and your independence is really key. Finally, while closed source Gen AI today, GPT-4, for example, is probably the most advanced. It's only more advanced by a slight margin, right? There are open source LLMs which are catching up fast, and we believe in the long term that will be that this will go towards open source, and open source, in a sense, is free. It does cost to run infrastructure and build it. However, you maintain all of the principles that keep your data safe.
If I may add something to that, Bam.
Sure, go ahead.
Those principles are the basic principles we use as our own North Star, right? So we use it to inform our customers and our audience on what we think is essential in building today's and tomorrow's AI solutions. Make no mistake, data control and sovereignty are already major factors today. So Google has launched its new Gemini platform worldwide, and except in Europe, because they have legislative hurdles to tackle. And as we move further down this path, with these principles will become more and more important. And the business that choose strategic independence will have the best position and the most options in the end.
Absolutely. So, if you do business with us, we abide by these principles and make sure that your data is safe, right? That's the bottom line. So what are the components of private AI? Well, it overlaps a little bit with the components of generative AI in the sense that there is a new hardware stack. So this is typically GPUs, supercomputers, high performance interconnected InfiniBand networking, and highly parallelized backend data storage. In private AI, we maintain this stack independently. We're typically not sharing those components, and so your data is landing on dedicated devices, dedicated GPUs, and there's no risk of contamination or misuse of data. This also guarantees performance, by the way, which is a really important thing. Gen AI is very performance intensive, and latency matters. There's a new software stack, and if this software stack is distributed and you're uploading your data to all kinds of different companies all around the world, obviously there's some risk there. So by bringing the AI software stack, instead of just the one on a public cloud, but into your own data center or into your private cloud, you then maintain complete control over the boundaries of that data. And the new software stack will be, what type of LLM are you bringing in? How are you doing the training, the fine tuning, connecting your own data with RAG, as we mentioned, your corporate data, and running that inference. So that whole software stack can be brought in and isolated and shielded in on top of that dedicated stack of hardware. And finally, the third component, which is a little bit soft, is the development capabilities. You need to have a little bit of development capabilities, or at least have the right partners to help fill that in. There's an ecosystem of partners and let's say functionalities that are important. And being able to run operations is a little bit different than normal application. So I think on this, on the top part, the hardware stack, this is what we provide on-prem or in our private dedicated cloud. The software stack we bring in, which we'll talk about in a second. Arnold will tell us about that. We bring that on top of your AI, and then we have built an ecosystem of partners and skills that we can help fill the gaps where that's maybe something that you guys or that the company's not ready to do, but we can help fill those gaps.
Yeah, so about NVIDIA and what it's doing in the AI world. NVIDIA started out as a manufacturer of video cards. We call them GPUs, and they were very good at it and became a leader in this field. The leadership and techniques of NVIDIA were among the first to realize that graphic processing units were very good at doing something that's called massive parallel processing. And they were good, and that's what the processor of these video cards could be used for other purposes, right? So think of high performance encryption like cryptocurrency, but more important, power neural networks that provide computational power for generative AI. So today, more than 95% of all workloads are powered by NVIDIA GPUs, and NVIDIA continues to lead the innovation and development on that side. They've made some very smart acquisitions in the past, and that shows their forecast and vision, like Mellanox, the high performance network pioneer, and integrated those technologies into the NVIDIA AI stack. On the internal development side, new, more powerful GPUs are being developed, and recently NVIDIA introduced its own CPU, the Grace, to perform the performance versus energy ratio of the data center, which will become more relevant in the future. AI is costing a lot of energy, and we need to make sure that high performance computing will reduce the energy and carbon footprint. But NVIDIA is not just leading with GPUs. What really sets them apart is the software stack they've built in recent years. NVIDIA has collected the most popular open source projects and put them into an easy to use catalog called NGC. And those software packages are continuously being optimized for use with NVIDIA GPUs and systems like the DGX supercomputer, which I'm going to tell about in a minute. It's the software that enables companies to embrace open source, knowing that quality is assured, firmwares and drivers are optimized, and that you can get enterprise-grade support to ensure your business continuity. Combining hardware and software makes NVIDIA the most complete solution on the market today. Make no mistake, big tech and the other processor manufacturers are moving, like Intel and AMD. They're executing on their own strategies. But the reality is that NVIDIA is light years ahead, and that they keep the pace high. So platforms like ChatGPT, but also Elon Musk's new Grok, they're built on NVIDIA technology, and they were right choosing NVIDIA as their technology foundation. So the infrastructure. And that's where all the magic is built on top of. NVIDIA accelerated infrastructure is the foundation of AI, and this infrastructure comes in different forms. So first you have the supercomputers that are very scalable and very performant, and they go from 8 to tens of thousands of GPUs connected into a single cluster to power the AI workloads. And these supercomputers are ideal when speed or limited amount of time, performance and scalability are of the essence. The other form that you can use is GPU systems, which basically is that that you have servers with a single or more GPUs delivering the processing power at a different scale and at different economics. You can't say on forehand which solution fits best. You really need to investigate and have a per application approach to determine which infrastructure makes most sense. So all workloads run on supercomputers or GPUs, and these massive parallel calculators need to be fed with data at really high speeds. So you need high performance infrastructure to make that all happen. First is InfiniBand. That's a high performance network that creates the GPU clusters. You can connect that to high performance parallel storage. And in the end, you can connect it to Ethernet to connect it to the rest of the world or the data sets you want to connect it to. Only if you have those three items in a solid foundation, you will have the solid tuned infrastructure you need to be able to run private AI efficiently and use the compute power that's at your disposal. So a bit more on the NVIDIA AI enterprise software stack. This suite is like a Swiss pocket knife. It holds all sorts of pre-trained models and frameworks, so you can jumpstart AI capabilities. It really helps you get started in the AI field, like with functionalities like it's very small in the slide, but it's like speech, virtual agents, video analytics, many more. With the underlying tools that you need and drivers and firmwares that you need to make that happen. It's really NVIDIA's best kept secret and the best way to get private AI initiatives started. To make it really practical, because we like that, you can start building and training your own LLM tomorrow using AI Enterprise and a feature or a product inside of it that's called NVIDIA NeMo. You can attach your sensitive data, corporate data, without sharing it to a third party or the outside world, and ensuring your security standards by using NeMo Retriever and greatly increase the performance and relevance of your LLM. And last but not least, if you run your AI in day-to-day production, pleasingly fast and with the highest level of security, you can use Trident Server to do that. So you don't need all the tools of AI Enterprise, but you have a tremendous set of tools at your disposal, and you can select the ones that will help you engage with AI much faster and with better quality. So why is AI Enterprise your best choice? Well, first, it's a software platform that you can run consistently in every major cloud, but it runs best on NVIDIA DGX supercomputers in the Nebel cloud or on premises / in your data center. Using AI Enterprise opens up the world of open source, but it adds enterprise level support to it, and it prevents you from entangling yourself into black boxed AI foundations like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft AI, or AWS Bedrock. You can run AI Enterprise wherever you want, and you can move your AI workloads in a breeze from one location to another or from one cloud to another. And that's true strategic independence. So about Nebel Private AI. As we've said, we started in this webinar. We think open source, private AI, and expertise ecosystems are the way forward. This is what we do, and this is what we've built our strategy around. We deliver the infrastructure as in the hard and in the software, as you can see, as a total integrated solution or as a cloud service, or as an on-premise solution from your data center, whatever makes most sense. Our teams and experts work closely with NVIDIA and with our ecosystem of partners to provide you a fast path to value with less risk. My clicker isn't working very well. So that brings us to our mission statement: accelerate today, get ready for tomorrow, right? That's the slogan we use. We think it's most relevant and has the best outcomes and results when you combine it with today's data sets. If you run the workloads you use today in our Power Cloud, which is completely built of high performance infrastructure, it will accelerate today's applications and data sets. And at the same time, it will open those data sets to be used by AI to get your business to the next frontier of productivity, thus getting you ready for tomorrow. There's no need to refactor your monolithic legacy applications in our cloud. These run very well in our Power Cloud with predictable performance and cost. Power Cloud also facilitates modern applications and work styles like DevOps and MLOps to facilitate developers and scientists with the modern tools you want. So what I can add to that is that we see that many cloud providers and hyperscalers, they're not able to they move into the AI realm, but they are not doing that on purpose-built performance and infrastructure. So I think that's a major difference. Neville builds on performance infrastructure and extends tomorrow's technology to today's applications and workloads. And this way we increase the overall performance of your applications with less complications and more positive user experience. So to sum it all up, what we can do for you, we've got the experience and expertise to run AI and high performance infrastructure on premises or from cloud service. We're one of the most dedicated NVIDIA partners in the Benelux with a broad scope of NVIDIA competences and certifications, as you can see. And we work with a great ecosystem of partners building end-to-end solutions that provide real value. That's Weight and Biases, UbiOps, REM AI, Dell Technologies, and Fast Data. We deliver our technology as a service or as a solution, whatever you prefer or need. And we provide white glove support services to make sure that you get the customer experience and service levels that fit your needs. So that being said, ma'am, I'll give it back to you to tell something about how we're helping our customers to make your first steps in the AI journey.
Thanks, Arnold. Yeah, this will be we'll kind of wrap it up here, but wanted to really zoom in here on the fact that the generative AI journey is at the beginning. It's a very long journey. Companies are at different stages of maturity. So we've kind of designed a product and services portfolio that helps any company along that journey. So the first step could be, for example, if you're just starting that journey, a workshop. And the workshop helps us to assess the objectives that you have, understand what kind of hardware stack, what kind of software stack, what kind of ecosystem we need to bring in. So call that the research phase. The jumpstart is the next part where we collaborate on running a micro experiment. A micro experiment might be we want to see a certain outcome, but we don't necessarily want to do all the data cleaning of the whole data set. So we maybe take 1% of the data, we build the functional experiment to show the outcome that everybody can agree with that is. Of course, we can use our Nebel infrastructure. We have all the hardware and all the software running already, so we just connect everything. We help with that part. And once that's done, hopefully we get that done pretty quickly. That's the goal. We can move on to then digesting all of the data that needs to be worked on through, for example, the retrieval capability, the RAG capability, which is connecting your corporate data. So cleaning the data, deciding on whether we're going to train a model or just fine tune, or what data will be connected. Get all of these things up and running. Get all the security in place. And once that build phase is done, we can move on to the run and scale. That's, as we discussed earlier, the inference. Running inference is the like the production runtime. Now our data is connected, and we bring on a subset of users and make sure that our security is there, that there's no data leaks. We do lots of pen testing. And once we're confident that that's capable, we then can add more users. And then as Gen AI continues to progress, we can keep adding incremental functionality, right? So think of this not as a one-time deployment, but getting it running and a kind of cycle of innovation and continuing to add more and more features. And likely on a weekly basis, be fine-tuning, adjusting the responses So, again, we're building something here for the long term. And again, to make this point, we can deliver this solution for you with NVIDIA and our partners on premises in your location, in your secure data centers. We can host a private AI pod for you in our data centers, which is very, very flexible. Or we can engage with NVIDIA's DGX cloud. So we can go all the way from one GPU to many thousands of GPUs, whatever is needed to solve that. So Arnold, let me hand it back to you. Any last thoughts here?
I'm on mute. Yeah. So I think if you look to the AI journey, we delivered the workshop and the jumpstart, which are fence initiatives, right? So that provide guardrails to our customers to keep the journey on track. That's very important to know. So no big steps or long-term commitments needed to start experimenting and getting the first experience with private AI. I think that's very important to take away. So yeah, I guess this sums it up. Maybe
Yep.
Look at if we have some questions from the audience.
Yeah, I didn't see any questions, so I think we'll leave it there today. And want to thank everybody for joining us. Obviously, we'd be really happy for anybody to reach out. We'll follow up with you guys and see if we can help. Really pleased today with how it went. We're looking forward to the next one. I would like to suggest that you follow us. I'll put up our yeah, there you go. There's our QR code. Please follow us on LinkedIn. We are regularly distributing content, and you'll hear about our next events. And we're going to be having on some really exciting guests. So with that, Arnold, I think it's good there.
Yeah.
Really thank everybody for joining today, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.